Today on wood turning, we're going to go nuts. More nuts than normal. We're going to go Tagua Nuts.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a wood turner for wood turners. Welcome to wood turning. I'm always looking for different things to put on the lathe, and this is a really cool thing to put on the lathe. It's a Tagua nut. It's from the Ivory Palm tree, or plant. I'm not sure which way it goes. I think it's a tree. But anyway, this is the seed, and it's really cool because what you can do is you can make things like this out of it. I mean, they're really beautiful. It's called fake ivory in a lot of places because this takes on the look of really antique ivory, which is really, really neat. Now, when you want to buy Tagua nuts, you can find them anywhere from about $2 to $6 a piece. It's all dependent upon the size and the quality of them. I bought mine on eBay from two different vendors, and they were both saying jumbo and large, but jumbo and large is in the eye of the beholder because they actually were accurate. Nobody lied about it. They said 2.5 inches. Well, they're exactly the same length, but there's so much less usable nut here as opposed to this nut. So look at the photos really carefully. Make sure that what you're picking out is what you want, because once you get it home, you're going to figure out what to make out of it. This one's so narrow, we could probably make something about this size out of here, which is nice. This one, this larger one, gives us the option to make something like this, or to even make a big bowl. It's really cool stuff. So I'm going to get this ready, and we're going to go to the lathe. Now, one thing about Tagua nuts is it's, again, like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get till you open them up, because this is where they attach to the plant. That's a big, nasty one right there. They have this outer layer on there, and that's usually chipped away when you get these. So here's the one that's revealed. Well, right there is a hole, and then there is a void in here somewhere. You're not really sure where it is. So you can start turning this thing and go, this is great. Oh, it looks like crap. I got to throw it away. That happens. But if you want to mount this on the lathe, we got to take a couple steps. So we're going to start this up. Here's my sanding block on here. I'm going to go point to point because we're going to try to make this shape today. We'll give that a shot. If we can make that, that would be awesome because that's really pretty. So I just want to come up here and I find my ends. I'm just going to put a little bit of a flat, and I don't need a lot. All I want is enough room to make a mark on there and also to attach a live center and a dead center, or a drive center. So, okay, so we've got our marks, right? Now, here's the fun part. That is not round. You can look at that. I mean, my head's rounder than that, right? Well, I do have a couple flat spots too. So what I did is this is the cap off of a can of varnish. And so if I put this on here and fish it around a little bit till I can finally see, if I look right down the barrel, the roundest part. So in other words, I have equal distance on either side all the way around. Then I just take it. I've got a hole in there, you can see. And this is really high tech. I'll take an awl and push in there. So now I have found, and look at that is way off, it's hard to see. But right there is the center mark for where I'm going to mount this, so I'm getting the most meat out of this nut. So I'll do that on the other side. And once I get this one marked, then we're going to mount this on the lathe. Okay, now we're going to be working little bitty things today. Shouldn't drink so early in the morning, huh? So I'm going to be using my cheaters as much as I can. And I found some cool goggles. They're called No Cry. And what I like about them is they have a thing here that goes over the top of your head so stuff doesn't come in this way, and it's really nice on the edges. I don't sell them or anything, but I just thought they're really cool. Thought you'd like to know, but they do go over your cheaters really well, which is very handy. And so what we want to do is I've got this mounted on here. This might look like overkill with this drive center right here, but it's actually a large stem center. So these little wings right here give me good purchase across the bottom of the nut. This is going to be the bottom of the vase. That's what I'm hoping for right now. And I want to put a tenon that's about this size on here because we're going to hold this in pin jaws. Now this stuff is really easy to turn, really nice. Turn up the speed a little bit. So I just got a light push in here. You can see this isn't quite spinning all the way. If I had that on there really tight, it'd be spinning faster, but I don't want to crush the nut. So we'll come in here, and I'm just going to use my little thin parting tool to flatten this end. And I'm going to go in there between the live center and the pin right there. And I'm going to come back out, and we'll start making our tenon. The tenon is only about a 1/4 inch max. There's a trick to that because the short tenon will actually keep me from blowing things up sometimes. It helps me release the nut from the jaws. So we'll come in like so. And actually this is much better tasting than wood chips because this is actually almost a food. It's called vegetable ivory. I'm getting my vegetables in today. So I just did a cut that went in a little bit like that. So I actually have an angle going, and that allows the jaws to fit properly. I'm going to stop it though because what I want to look at, yeah, see I've got a good shoulder all the way around here. What I'm trying to avoid is I don't want to be falling off the side of the nut. I want to have the tenon inside of that a little bit. So I'm going to start her back up, raise this up just a tick. We'll go ahead and take a spindle gouge, and we'll do a little bit of shaping while we're here. You know, you hit the on button, it works a lot better. Pick the speed up. This is just a regular old spindle gouge. Everything's locked in. You're going to be cutting air for a second, so just take real light cuts. Some people will take these and flatten the end and glue them to a waste block. I've tried that, but I usually wind up launching the nut across the shop about 20 times. It gets really frustrating. So that's why we're using a tenon on this to put on a chuck. So this cut's really nice. I'm just going across. It's a little scratchy at times because it's a natural product, and we're getting a little bit dull there. Let me take a look and see how we're doing here. Well, all I want to do is, oh, see, we're almost perfectly round. We picked a good center on that. There's very little bark left there. We're going to try to use some of the bark as we go. So let me go to a different tool. Maybe it's a little sharper. And if not, then I'm going to go to the sharpener and we'll sharpen up. There we go. Whoops, okay. Tighten this up just a little bit. There we go. That is what dull tools do to you. So I'm going to sharpen. We're going to shape it a little bit more, and then we're going to flip it around on the chuck. Always be sharp. Now I've got the Tagua nut reversed and mounted in my pin jaws, and I brought the tailstock up for a little bit of support because that's not a really big hold there. And when we get to hollowing, the reason that hold is light like that is if we get a catch, this will pop off without damaging the Tagua nut. Now I want it to come in here about right. We're going to start shaping this. And trust me, now that I've sharpened Thompson's tools here, they are incredibly good. Loosen that. I want this spinning a little bit. There we go. So the cuts you can take off this, you have to go light because it's a fracturable type of material. So even if that stops spinning, it's still providing me some support, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But see the little ribbons that are coming off? And that's some cool stuff. It's like turning epoxy or a resin or something too. But it's a natural product, which is really, really neat. But you want to take light cuts because if you push it and go real hard like that, let's see if this shows up on the camera because I did on the side a little bit. You see it gets chippy like that. And you can see the slow over here. That's nice and smooth and shiny. So you just want to take your time. Now I'm looking at, that's not blood. There's that hole. That's the hole where it attached to the tree. And then there's a crack in there. So you're going to wind up with little cracks and fissures. As we go along, we'll put some super glue in those voids to help hold things together because you never know what's going to come apart on these. So I'm starting to make the crown. I'm going to find the highest part here for the shoulder of the vessel. And it's just like any other turning. I'm just sneaking up on the cut. And I'm also using my body to make the turn so the handle's into my hip so it's not my arms making the movement here. And as you rub the bevel of the tool on the Tagua nut, you can see how shiny the burnishing goes too. Get a little bit of that off of there so I can see. Now I want to leave a little bit of the skin on there to make it look cool, but if you can't get that, that's okay. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm looking at right here. I want to check this point. This is going to be a long little detailed segment. So I got a little bit of color there, but I've got to curve that lip. Well, I got the hole there, so that's probably going to do all I need. So I'll just come here and curve this off. Do a little pull cut. So we're establishing our lip there. Going to come back here, make a little tiny bead. Turn the tool, tip it right at the end. There you go. And I can clean that little corner off. So now we got a nice rim on there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work my way down on this end and start doing the shape of the body. And once I get that done, then we'll probably go in and do a little bit of hollowing. Well, now the joy of Tagua nuts. Remember I said there's a void inside? Well, here's a really good example of the void. See the crack there? Goes all the way to here, comes to here. I can actually see inside the nut a little bit. Normally I'd bail on this, but just for you, I'm going to try to make this work. So I'm going to take some Star Bond. They make a black super glue, and this is medium density. So I'm thinking, okay, well, if I got to shove something in there to fill that hole up, let's make it decorative, right? So we'll come in here and try to feed in some of the black and force it into that crack, because I haven't really finished my shape here yet, but what I want to do is get some glue in there to hold this up right now as best as I can, see how it works. And then what I'll do, I'll see it's soaking in there really nice. That's really good. So the deeper it goes in, the better contact I'm going to have inside. And then to help myself out, we'll just take a little bit of this, and this is the accelerator. So this helps speed up the drying of the glue. So we'll try to do this without getting the GoPro all gooey. So that will take a little bit to set up there. And when that's set up, I'll start trying to turn the outside again, and then we'll see if we can do some hollowing. This will be fun. Okay, I'm just double checking because someone famous once said, measure twice, drill once. No, what's something like that. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure. I want to stop about right here, and so transfer over here to my great little depth gauge. So I'm going about 1 3/4 of an inch deep into here. The hole is very important to drill because when you start to hollow, this gets you the access that makes it a lot easier. We're going to turn this on. I'm going to bring the speed up. The speed is up. As opposed to normally drilling, you go slow. The reason I have it up is I want a clean entry. So now, okay, it's entered good. I'm going to slow it down now. What I didn't want was any chance of that bit wandering or moving. Oh my gosh, it is hollow. I'm not hitting anything. Oh, name that sound, can you? Okay, let's turn it off. Come back out. You can actually see that looks pretty cool with the glue in there. So if this holds together, it's going to be a really beautiful piece. Hey, now to hollow. Okay, let's talk overkill, right? This is a tiny little thing, and I got this huge elbow hollowing system out. But what's nice about it is it makes it really steady and really easy for me to do really delicate cuts. Now, one thing I'm using is the Mike Hunter system of bars. These are 3/8 inch bars, and they're super cool because he's got different shapes. So if you want to go around a corner, you can come in with this, and this curves in and goes inside like that. And then he even has one that's even more extreme if you really want to make a corner. That is amazing for a Southwest shaped vessel. And each one of these is covered because it has these little tiny carbide cutters on here, and they're really hard to see. They're tiny, but they're cool. They're curved out on the inside, so they actually cut rather than scrape. If you go in here with a scraper, this one would blow up, I guarantee you. It still might blow up the way we have it set up right now. And one thing, watch this. I mean, I was talking about being hollow, so this should just go straight in because there's a 3/8 inch hole, right? But look at how much wiggle room I already have. I mean, that wall is not that thick right there. So I'm going to try to get in there, make a few touches on this. If this blows up, at least you got a good idea what we're doing. I'm going to lower this down just a tick more to be right on center. Let's see how that works. Okay, there we go. And you can see it's a 3/8 inch, so it barely fits inside that hole. So, if you're religious, say a prayer for me right now, because this is only held by a little 1/4 inch tenon, right? We'll bring the speed up a bit. Nerves of steel. So I'm going to rest onto the elbow tool and just bring this in. And the light, by the way, I forgot to tell you, is showing me the width of my wall. There's no way I'm going to get down to 1/8 of an inch like that. That's just kind of wishful thinking right now. But you're going to hear it. We're making some contact. There we go. I'm holding my breath because this is still sketchy. And this little tiny bar will start to vibrate. And the reason I have it sticking out so far is because this is tapered all the way up to here. If I put the taper on the tool rest, you're going to be changing the height of the tool as it goes in. And this is such a narrow opening, you can't do that. So I have to be back on the bar where it's 3/8 of an inch. Mike makes these come unhandled or handled. So you can do this handheld, or you can make your own handle for it. And I just have the elbow tool, so I feel a little better with it since I can't feel my hands very well. So this is how the hollowing goes. So it's kind of like watching sandpaper sanding or something like that, or watching paint dry at the same time, with the thought that everything could blow up in an instant. So I'm going to worry this down a bit, and once we get it hollowed out to where I want it, we're going to sand it and then finish the bottom of the piece and take it off the lathe. I've been holding my breath here because I don't know if a void's going to open up as I make these final shapes. It's looking pretty good. I'm trying to get this to sweep down to the foot, but I'm also listening to hear if there's any click, 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 and that means I got an opening there. So that's ugly. I got a bump there I got to get rid of. This is not exactly normal body position for turning, but I wanted to get my eyes really close to this to make sure I'm seeing it well. Okay, so there's one thing I have to do before I start sanding, and that is to bring in my parting tool, and I want to make the delineation as to where the bottom starts, because if I don't do this, I can't sand all the way to the bottom of the piece. So I'm going to listen again to see if we have any problems coming up here. So there's the bottom. So by making that little indentation there, come back and make a small relief cut. Okay, now I can come back here. I'm just going to take this, and there's a little ridge there. I'm a little low here, but I think I can do it. Famous last words, of course. There we go. Cool. I feel better now. So now we're going to sand this thing to about 3600 grit, and you're just going to be amazed at how pretty this is when we're done. Yes! This is so cool. I'm using micro mesh, which is a diamond impregnated paper. This is 3600 grit. You can go up to 12,000 if you want to, but that'd be kind of overkill on this. And I actually picked the speed up. Normally you don't do that with micro mesh, but this doesn't get that hot. I don't know why. And the speed really, look at the shine. That's so cool. The shine really pops at that point. Take this mask off for a second here. Okay, look, you can see I managed to save a little bit of the brown bark on there. That is really neat. And then look at how all this worked out here. I'll use the air compressor, and that'll blow off the little white bits right there. So the black looks really cool. And look, that's where the hole, that's where it attached to the tree. So that stayed there. And I don't know why, but there's a little bit of red in there, and it's not from me, which is incredibly lucky. So now the next thing to do is to part it off. And we'll just get this off with my thin parting tool. And as I part, I want to make sure that I go up into the bottom of the vase just a little bit, so it'll set on the outer edges when it comes off. A little bit of sanding on the bottom too will clean that up. Let me come in here, we'll go slow, because remember I got voids, right? Lots of voids. I'm taking a real tiny clearing cut there. See how this goes? I want to sneak up on this, I don't want to rush it. After all that work, I don't want to drop it when it comes off. So we're down to about 1/8 of an inch on that stem. 1/16 of an inch. There we go. That parted off nicely. Yeah, you can see we have some cracks on the bottom there, so there wasn't much left holding this thing together. So let me clean this up real quick, and then we'll take a look at what we've done. And that is how you make a beautiful vase from something like that, a Tagua nut. I never would have thought you could do that. Years ago when I found out about these, it was just an incredible thing. One little cool thing, this is made by our buddy Bob Hawks, who is 98 years old now. It really does incredible work still. He's an amazing man. But I want to show you one other cool thing. With a Tagua nut, You do it thin enough, you can light it up from the inside. It's really, really cool. Well, that's how you make a vase from a Tagua nut. So until next time on Wood Turning, keep turning.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a wood turner for wood turners.